Hello everyone, it's me again. So that's nice. So hopefully you can all hear me. I've got the chat room open, I've got the terminal open. We're going to do some stuff today. What we're going to do, what I thought we'd do, let me just shuffle a bit, get all comfortable. Just need to check this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you guys down a little bit so you can see this. Just wanted to quickly do a little thing. I'm wearing this really cool t-shirt. It says, let me get a little bit closer so you can read it. Segata Sanshiro. For those who want to know about who Segata Sanshiro is, I actually wrote about him a few weeks back. Just going to show you this. There it is. So that is Segata Sanshiro. That's a blog post that I wrote about him. I'll link that in the show notes. And I'm going to put that on the page where this will exist. A link to this. I'll put this on there. So this will be there's show notes going on the YouTube channel. There'll be show notes going on. Where else? Oh, I'm moving my mouse at the wrong place. When I put this up onto YouTube, there'll be show notes on YouTube. There'll be show notes on the blog post that I make to announce this. It's not really a blog post. I'll show you what I mean. So if you come over to A Journey in .NET Core, which is a wonderful website, by the way, I have to say. Oh, look, it shows that I'm, yes. Okay, so that works. So if you go to Twitch videos up here and click that, you'll see there is currently just one image, one post at the moment. Oh, look at that. It's me from when I built a .NET Core application with the Onion architecture. If you click through, so within a few hours there'll be a second one there. If you click through to here, there'll be information about what I was trying to do with the stream. There'll be a link to watch it on Twitch, and if the Twitch one ever goes down, I'll replace it with the YouTube video. And there's a bunch of links there and show notes, things that I'm going to talk about as I do it. So that's on, if I just go back, so that's on .netcore.gaprogman.com. Again, I'll put these in some kind of show notes and put them on the YouTube version of the video. Click on Twitch videos and that's where you'll find it. So I'll put a link to this on there as well. What I thought we'd do today, or what I'm going to do today, you can watch if you want, you don't have to, is I am going to take this GitHub repository, DWCheckUI, which originally started out life as a collection of, well, it was going to be, it still is, I just haven't had a chance to get around to it yet. It's going to be a collection of UIs for my DWCheck API project. The DWCheck API project was originally written for a series of tutorials all about .NET Core and Entity Framework and things like that. So it was .NET Core. It was originally a .NET Core 1 app Entity Framework with N-tier architecture. And we can see a live version of that if we go to dwcheckapi.azurewebsites.net. So yes, it's running on a free Azure instance. And when you hit that, you'll get this incorrect usage of API page, and it's literally just an API wrap. Please don't anyone run these two. It is a production system, but it's really only a demo. That's really for me. Go have a look at, so if you go to .netcore.gaprogman.com and you search for, oh, this is where it starts to take forever to load, isn't it? Here we go. And that's because my internet connection here is not brilliant, but that's fine. I'm looking into getting that upgraded. So DWCheck API. You do a search for DWCheck API on the blog, and you'll see a bunch of blog posts all about building that whole system up. You'll see that I designed it from the ground up so that you can place a JSON file in, where are we? You can place a JSON file with the actual, within the application, and do a drop database seed database, and it will pick up that JSON and populate the database with that JSON. Oh, what I should have searched for was Web API tutorial. That's what I should have searched for. But if you go to this post here, I'll put this in the show notes. Go to this post and read through all of them in order, and it will take you through how to build up what I've done. So this is a blog post all about all of that. Oh, no, the image is updated. Anyway, so this shows you the design idea, the why I did it, what I'm doing. Whoops. So that will take you through to this. So how we interact with this is a bit difficult. So I'm going to go to the books. Whoops. I'm going to go to books. I'm going to go to search. And I'm going to do search string rinse, which will search all of the books that I have in this data set, which is the Discworld books, for anything with the word rinse in it. So you get back this huge JSON string, which is pretty useless, really. It's not really that helpful at all. That's where the Discworld disorganizer comes in. So the Discworld disorganizer, excuse me, is meant to abstract all of that away. This is based on the .NET New Angular template. We'll see that in a minute. Excuse me. And all you do, you go to Discworld disorganizer.azurewebsites.net, and it will take you directly to the About page. That's the default landing page. And on the left here, you've got different buttons. So we'll go with books. We'll do the exact same thing, but we'll see that this is a slightly better search because it will get us the data and then it will lazy load the images in, which is pretty useful. Now, what I'm thinking is I'm going to take this, which is .NET Core 1.1, and rewrite it in .NET Core 2.0. There is almost nothing that has changed that we're going to do. We're not really going to do anything major to change this. Just going to make some tweaks to it. I'm going to turn that up a little bit. Make some tweaks to it, build it in .NET Core 2, and we'll see how we go from there. Yes. So that's what we're going to do. So the end goal is to at least have this book search page. So the way that this works, if we go over to the GitHub repository and go into the Angular 2 folder, so there is going to be a range of folders, Angular 2, a React one when I get my head around how React works. Maybe I should read Zach's blog post that he wrote for A Journey in .NET Core. That will teach me all about React. Anyway, so in here, in the Angular 2 directory, we have a bunch of files, and it is just literally, you can see that from this it looks like an ASP.NET Core MVC app, and you know what, you would be quite right. It is an ASP.NET Core ASP.NET Core MVC app. Well, actually, it's a little bit more complex, but that's fine. So what we're going to do is going to rebuild this. I've already got a branch set up for it, branch.NET Core 2, as you can see. And what we're going to need is we're going to leverage the .NET Core, the ASP.NET Core JavaScript services stuff. Again, I've already written about this. So if you go to .NETCore.progmat.com and do a tab to do search, but I'm going to do it like this. JavaScript services, and then I'm going to take that space out because sometimes it's easier for me to type in words like that with the spaces. You can see here, again, I'll put a link to this one somewhere in the show notes somewhere. So this is a single page app, how the template works, how the whole thing works together, how it all fits together, what Angular 2 is. Well, this was written when it was Angular 2. I believe this version is Angular 4. I'm not so sure about that, but there you go. How to install the SPA templates, which I already have. So you'll need that command there, .NET New install Microsoft ASP.NET Core SPA templates : *. That will install all the templates for you. I already have them installed, but again, run through this and it will take you through all the things you need to do. This is getting one up and running and how the files all sit together and stuff. So I would have a read through that. Again, I'll put that in the show notes somewhere because I'm going to skip over a lot of that. I'll just go back to this here. I'm going to skip over a lot of that, but to get that to work, to have ASP.NET Core leverage the JavaScript services, we're going to have to use Node.js. So this is the thing you will need to install if you want to play along with this and do this as well, be it live, when it doesn't look like anyone's watching, but that's fine, live or on demand. You're going to need Node, because on the back end, what happens is .NET Core, it uses Webpack, which is Ace, and it uses Node and some other magic stuff, which is quite frankly just magic to me. Fires Node, and it does a whole bunch of stuff. One of the things it does, which is really cool, is hot module swapping, which is really only useful for dev, so don't ever use it in production. But what you do is you make a change to some JavaScript or some CSS or one of the components, which we'll go into in a minute. If you haven't done components before, we'll go into that. And what it does is it detects when you make a change to that, and then sends a signal to your open browser. In this instance, it's going to be Chrome. Sends a signal to your browser to maintain state, but to swap a component over live, and then almost as if it's like refreshing that component, but without destroying state, which is really cool. From what I understand, React has done this for ages, but that's okay. Take a sip of some coffee there. Right, so you're going to need to install Node. I have already got Node installed, and I can check that by going node --version. There we go, I've got 8.70 as you can see. I got 8.70 here, 8.70 there. It's literally because I installed 8.70. Oh, by the way, let me know as well whether the keyboard is too loud. I noticed watching the previous stream back, there were times when I was typing and all you could hear was me bashing on the keys, which bashed on the desk, which then reverberated into the microphone. I've repositioned the microphone, done a few tests, and it seems like the microphone is okay picking me up. But if the keyboard's still getting in the way, then maybe I'll swap it for a different keyboard or something. That's not a problem. So, right, so we've got Node. So that's installed. I'm just going to clear this. So we've got in here, we already have our Angular 2 folder. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder to place this in, and we'll build it up so that then we can compare and contrast. I'm going to use VS Code on one side for the original code, and I'll use Rider to build the new code, because Rider is ace. You'll also see Rider 2017.1.2, which is the version of Rider that is fully supporting .NET Core 2 now, so that's fantastic. You might see, because I haven't opened this project with it yet, you might see also that there's a few, not issues, and they're not really errors with Rider, but you'll see a few things come up. Maybe I can send this stream into the Rider folks and they can have a look. I don't know. Anyway, right, so what we're going to do is we are going to make a .NET new. We're going to list our templates. So this is the first thing you need to do to make sure that you have the SPA templates installed. And that's these ones here: Angular, React, React and Redux. There is one for Aurelia and things like that, but I'm not going to do any of those yet. I'm not saying any of them are better than the others. They're all equally as amazing, in my opinion, as a mostly back-end but kind of full-stack developer. So I'm going to go .NET New, Angular, because that's the Angular. There we go. That's the one we want to build. So we want to do short name here, .NET New Angular, but I'm going to do help, so I can see what else I can do with it when I start it. So there's other options that I can do. I can do help, list, all of these things. Don't need to do that. So what we need to do is, these are the only options available specifically to the Angular one. Not a problem. We don't need to run any of those. --name. So these are, so we can tell the .NET Core SDK to not restore packages instantly if we want, but that's kind of useless. So we might as well go ahead and do that. So if I do, we're going to run into a problem with namespaces here if I just do this here. So what we'll do is we'll actually come out of here and come out of there. So I usually have in my home folder on my Mac, I've got a folder called code. Inside that I have all of the projects I work on. So if I go back into code, I don't mind showing you this. I've got a couple of things here for my full stack template, my Onion architecture demo, Medico, which I'm working on, my user secrets demo, which I no longer need. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to dump that out here. I'm not going to show you the contents of my home folder, but let's do .NET New Angular --name, and we'll call it Angular 2. Angular 2. Only because if we scroll back up, my previous, the previous version of it is actually called Angular 2. So we'll just name it that for now, and I'll deal with renaming everything later to drop the 2 and to remove the old ones from source control. Not a problem. So we'll create that. This is where the stream's going to get a bit wobbly, I think, because it's going to do a .NET restore. This is just your standard ASP.NET Core stuff, and it's already done it. It took 4 seconds. Fantastic. Here we go. Now it's warning us, as you can see here, before running this project on the command line, you must restore npm packages. So this is it uses npm. So we're about to, when we run this, if we run the actual application, then what will happen is everything will fall over because we don't have Node running and it doesn't have all the applications installed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change into, so what happens, because I gave it a name, because I used the name switch, it's created a folder called Angular2. So if I go ls Angular2, it'll show me the contents of that folder. So let's change into that, Angular2, and then do another ls. You can see it's there, right? We have this, where are we? We've got a node, have we got a, where is it? Package.json. So we're going to use that when we do npm install. Right, if I just ran npm install, it would install all of the packages into a node underscore packages folder in here. Is it node underscore packages? Well, it would install it there. That would also waste a lot of bandwidth because I've already pulled all of these packages. I also have them already installed globally. So I'm just going to say install them globally, and what it'll do is it'll read through my package.json, it'll go, oh, nothing needs to be updated, and it won't bother pulling anything down. But one of the things that will happen is that we'll get told that one or two of the packages is out of date, but that's because of the template. But that's not a problem. So I'll do this. Whilst it does that, I'm just going to take a moment, just 1 second. Sorry about that. I had a door that was open and I wanted to close it. You know the whole with the Rolling Stones, I see a red door and I want to paint it black. I see an open door and I want to close it. I don't really, I'm just being stupid. So let's have a look. How is this doing? So we're still loading the dependency tree. As you can see, we've got a little marker there going. This is probably going to destroy the stream at the moment, but that's fine. So it's looking through our dependencies and having a look online to see what there is. Oh, interesting. OBS, the streaming software that I use, is telling me that I'm doing okay. It's not running too slowly. This took seconds when I ran it outside of the stream earlier, but it might take a few moments just because it's going to take a few moments. So what I might do is, whilst this is going, I might have a quick break, grab something to eat, because I still haven't had breakfast yet. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's after 2 o'clock in the afternoon here, and I haven't eaten yet. So what I might do, mute myself, get something really quick to munch, drink my coffee. Oh no! Oh, there we go. Not gonna even bother. It's, look, you can see it's starting to work its way through these, as you can see. So what I might do is I won't bother. I'll just keep waffling on, which is what this is, by the way. I noticed I had a comment from Joe from Coding Blocks, name drop there, about this before with the previous, when I posted the previous video. It's a blog that I run with my brother. I showed you all earlier on actually. So if I just pull this up, a little bit of a cross promotion here. So if I go to Waffling Tailors, again, I'll put a link to the Segata Sanshiro post so you know who this is in the show notes. But just really quickly, and this is going to run slowly because I'm downloading and uploading and downloading some more and uploading some more. But I've got, we run this website where we talk about video games and stuff. And the blog post that I'm going to link you all to is this Segata Sanshiro one, all about who he is and what that is. So I think I've bought myself enough time. Whilst that's going, took a little break from actually talking about programming then. What I thought we'd do is have a quick look at, so this is the JavaScript services GitHub. Everything about ASP.NET Core, everything about .NET Core is on GitHub. If you have trouble, try and find the Git repo for it and read through the actual code. That is if you're not using Visual Studio on Windows or Rider on anything. Rider has this really cool feature where it can decompile. It uses their own decompiler. They decompile the source code and they get the actual, let me just do this. They get they decompile the source code and they get the actual lines of code when you right click go to. I'll show you in a moment. But what I thought we could do is have a quick look through here. At so this is ASP.NET JavaScript Services. So this is the .NET Core JavaScript Services package. You can see down here there's all sorts of things about which things you're doing and where you're coming from and all the wonderful, amazing things that it can do. So that's really cool. Lazy loading on Knockout is amazing. But the best one that it does is hot module replacement. Like I said, your web page is, again, you would only do this on dev, but your web page is running. You make a change to some JavaScript. You don't touch your web page in your browser, and it just replaces the code, keeps the state, and it's just you'll see later. So as you can see, you need .NET Core, and you need to install, and you need to run, and all this kind of stuff. You need the packages and stuff like that. So, and then it takes you through how to add to existing applications, but we're not going to do that. In the source code, you can see all of the namespaces that it uses and how cool that is. Oh dear, excuse me. So, yes, I think what I will do actually is I will take a little break. Just because it's taking a while to pull down the packages. So, I'll be back in a moment. Welcome back, everyone. So as you can see, we've our node packages have finished being installed. You can see we got a success. We did get where are we? We got we've been suggested that we update some packages and things, but that's fine. As you can see, it's Angular 2, but that's not a problem. I don't mind it being Angular 2. Some people might say, oh, you should be running Angular 4 or as of today, Saturday the 21st. Oh, you should be running Angular 5 or 7 or whatever the value is. You know what? For the purposes of this demo, I think it's going to be okay. Oh, excuse me. I also got myself a little snack. Where's my mouse pointer? I'm looking at the wrong screen again. So there we go. Right. So if I do an ls in here, we've now got a node modules, which is fantastic. That's where all our node modules go. We don't have a solution file, so I'm going to create one now. I'm going to do this from the command line, if I remember how to do it. So .NET new, yes, let's do help again. I'm going to add a solution so that I can open it easier with Rider. So .NET new sln, I'm going to call it Angular 2. Whoops, Angular 2. Brilliant. Oh, bother. I need to do -- name, don't I? There we go. So if I do ls in there again, we have our solution file. Where are we? I could add the CS project to it from here, but I don't want to do it by hand. So what we'll do is I'll minimize this, and we should bring up Rider. Now, I have Rider 2017 1 and 2 installed, because I'm sort of flitting between them at the moment. But this is 2017 2. Haha! This one has full support for .NET Core 2. I don't know which screen it's going to start on. I think it's already started. There it is. Oh, you missed the splash screen. That's a shame. Maybe I can get the splash screen to appear on that screen. Can I? No. I thought I could drag the splash screen over, but I can't. That's a real shame. Oh well, it's over there. So what about if I bring this over, right, and I start it again, because the splash screen is well pretty. So Rider 2017 2. Is it going to appear over there? I'll be very, very happy if it does. It takes a moment to bootstrap it now. Okay, maybe I can provide you with a screenshot or something. Also, I can tell my brother I spent a lot of the time showing off this logo, which he designed, by the way, which is amazing. This logo, WTB, the Waffling Taylor Boys, excellent stuff. Right, okay. So we're going to bring this over. We're going to say we're going to open a solution. So let's open this solution. So, where are we? Angular 2. I'm going to open the solution file. And we're going to open that. Ooh, laptop's getting a bit warm, but that's fine. It's a warm day. See, what it's done is it's opened the project on that screen where you guys are, which is no good because I want it opened on that screen where I'm going to do some code. So let's drag this over. Ta-da! There we go. As you can see, we've got some processes running. It's going to open this. So this is actually, it's building indexes and things like that. So that's cool. So I'm going to have one of these. Just going to unwrap one of these thingies. Yum. For those who might be interested, what I'm actually munching on are some mini dime bars, except they're orange flavour. So that's good. I've just realised that I put that background tasks window over my face, under my face. So that's not good. It's amazing that it's actually doing a lot of stuff there. And it's updating source files. I've not loaded anything in. Now I'm going to load something in. And then it's going to spend ages doing it. But that's fine. Oh no. Looks like it's thrashing. Maybe I should have done this before I did the live stream. No, because this shows how I'm going to get around these issues. Haha! So, excellent stuff. Now, we'll be excluded from the build because it's not configured properly. Debug any platform, any CPU. So we'll fix that in a moment too. Let's bring up these processes. Oh, I see what it's doing. It's updating my actual assemblies on my machine. Well, that's not good. Oh well. We'll let it do its thing and hopefully it won't slow us down too much. So let's click this background error. The excluded from build project is not configured for configuration, debug, and platform any CPU. Oh. Let's see if we can figure this out then. Oh, it'll be in here, I guess. Let's have a look. Ah, yes. Okay, so we're saying debug any CPU, debug any CPU, release any CPU. I'm fully expecting the stream not to work right now, by the way. I'm doing a lot of uploading the stream and downloading some packages. This bit's going to be a bit boring for the next 5-10 minutes. And you may actually hear my laptop start to get loud. I don't think you will, but let's have a look. What's this? This is build solution. We can't build it. Here we go. Edit the, we can't edit the configurations because it's still running through in indexing stuff. Perhaps I should have opened this earlier. Oh well. Right. So that's going to go do its thing. So what I'll do is I'll do .NET Run over here. Interesting. It's a bit boring, this bit, because, well, there's all sorts of things going on, and that's... What's this doing? Analyzing. So this is one of the cool things about... let's minimize that. About Rider, is it reads through your code and analyzes it because it's got ReSharper. Sorry, it's built on top of ReSharper. So it's analyzing my code as we speak. And it's going to show us any errors or any suggestions that it has, which is really, really cool. Like if you don't have Rider, but you use ReSharper and you want something smaller, then ReSharper and Visual Studio, seriously consider Rider. Yeah, there's a couple of bits where it slows down and stuff, but I can do things like this. Remove unused directives across the whole solution. It takes a moment, but then it'll look through and it'll delete stuff it doesn't need, which is really cool. Again, that's just standard ReSharper stuff, so there you go. Oh, and in all of that time, excuse me, in all of that time, it's now started our thing in production. I'll go through the startup.cs in a moment, but you can see here, if I go like this, localhost 5000, you'll see that the template is set up and ready to go. Ready to go. Ready to go. Let's pause that again. It's ready to go. Is my machine just being really slow? I fear it is. Ha! Here we go. So this is the ASP.NET Core Angular template running with the JavaScript services. Now some of this stuff, because we'll see here, we're running in production, what we're going to find is that some of these things, the hot module swapping and stuff like that, don't work, and you'll see why when we go to the startup.cs. But just taking a quick look around, this is the home controller. Okay, so we now have server-side controllers and client-side controllers. This is a single-page application design. So you will have a single-page application controller which exists on the front end in JavaScript. Anyone who's done Angular or React or things like that will know about this kind of thing. The idea is if when you go / a controller name, what we do is we check the JavaScript first, and if the JavaScript root or route as some people say it, if that root doesn't match, we'll go to the server and try and find a route that does match. So this is all JavaScript, so I can go click, 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 click. This is all happening on the client side. And there's this handy fetch data, which shows you what happens when you ask the server for data. So if I do an inspect, and I pull this out, where are we? So it's D, I think. Nope. D. There we go. Nope. Oh well. Let's just leave it there. If I go to network, you can see when I click this, when I click between them, nothing is happening. No messages are being sent back and forth from the server. We got one then, because when we came in to fetch data, the code in this page says, go get me the weather forecasts from the server. And this is a JSON string. So that's pretty cool. But when we go like this, there's no communication with the server, because this is all wonderful, wonderful JavaScript stuff. So let's close this. So what we'll do is we'll actually have a look at how this works. So let's do Control C. Well, if I go to, so the first thing we need to do is we need to look at, I'll get the this working in a moment, because it doesn't seem to want to. Let that finish. So if I go to startup.cs, so this is part of this is the .NET Core 2 startup stuff. This is really cool, which is this. The host equals that post.run. I like to do this. This is something that I got from Scott Allen. Scott Allen? Yeah. It's really cool. I've written about this again before. This is part of my full stack stuff. Build your web host and then run it. It's 2 separate lines. Because in here, actually, let me change this because this feels like the text isn't big enough. I really should have done all of this before I started. So if I do 16, that seems to have not affected the code, but that's fine. Oh, yeah, really I should have done this before I started, but oh, well, that didn't do a thing, did it? Aha! Let's define the color scheme. So color scheme. Color scheme font, here we go. Get rid of that. Put this to 14. 14? Maybe 16. Why isn't it not letting me change it? Probably because it's being selected. Hey, that's annoying. Maybe I can just zoom in. Can I zoom in? I really should have done this before we started. I hadn't thought about this. Oh well, let's stop that. Zoom, here we go. No, that's search. Oh well, hopefully you can all see that. We just wasted a few minutes faffing around. Let's see if I can just really quickly figure this out. 14, no, 16, there we go. You should be able to see that now. Haha! So, what I've just done, yeah, that looks better, doesn't it? Is we're now using build web host, which is a .NET Core 2 thing, which I covered in the previous video, which creates a default builder for us. And what I'm doing is, again, I got this from K. Scott Allen, is build your web host on one line, then have something in here. So this can be to do add any config. So this might be any config steps you need to do for, say, setting up your database or any kind of environment setup. So maybe you need to run npm or something, or you need to run something on the server before your web host starts. Do that there, and then you can run your host there. I mean, if I go back a step and I undo all of this, you'll see what it looked like originally, and that is it builds and runs on the same line. Builds and runs on the same line. But you know what? I kind of like this. I like this having two steps there. Right, okay. So that's the program.cs. In startup.cs, can I go full? Let's collapse that for now. I'll probably have a mare of a time trying to find that in a moment, but there you go. Cool. So what we've got here, if we look in the configure method, so this is the standard sort of ASP.NET Core setup. In the configure method, we've got in our if is environment, remember we ran it as production, if environment is development, then we use the development exception page like we do normally. This is the cool stuff. Use Webpack dev middleware, hot module replacement. So what that means is, like I said, you make a change to a JavaScript file that is picked up in the Webpack stuff, and as soon as you make that change and hit save, Webpack is called. It then repackages our stuff and then swaps the modules out for us. We'll see that in a moment, which is really cool. And then the other thing we've got is this really cool route that's been added, the map spa fallback route, which is just it's the spa fallback route. So if I hover over that, you can see. So that means if it doesn't match anything on the server and it doesn't match a static file, then it will match on this. So instead of passing the message back to the server to say, hey, get me / some spa controller, it will just look in the spa in their single page application. I keep saying spa, but there you go. So yes, that's useful. So why don't we do this again, right? So let's have a quick look at, let's have a look. So there's the Webpack stuff. Webpack confuses me, I'll be completely honest. I get it. I get what it does. It just, the way it works is magic. I haven't ever had to change this file when I've been doing Angular stuff with the .NET Core. So I don't know much about this. I have written a blog post about getting Webpack and TypeScript working, but that was before this, the JavaScript services. So if you want to read that, go have a look. Again, if I find it, I'll put it in the show notes. Don't know how I'm keeping a log of all the things I've got to do, but there you go. So this, this is some high level voodoo style ninja-y JavaScript fella stuff. I will learn Webpack eventually, but this is the file that does all the stuff for us. It swaps all of the things out. This Webpack config creates our standard JavaScript. The Webpack config vendor creates our vendor JavaScript, which is fantastic. This is our TypeScript stuff. So this is specifically for TypeScript, which we're going to use, and it is amazing. But that's my opinion. Standard app setting stuff. So if we go to controllers, we go to home controller, right? And we go view, right? Oh, I really like that. That's a new thing. Anyway, and I go to. This is probably going to take me to where view exists. Oh, brilliant. Okay, so our index page on the main controller looks pretty sparse. What it does is it adds the vendor.js and it adds our main client.js. Every time that we make a change to any JavaScript, main client is going to be updated, which is really nice. It's also going to append the version for us automatically because of tag helpers, which means that when you deploy a new version and the browser comes along and says, can I have the main page please? It's not going to go, oh, I have that cached already. If it's a new version of the file, it's actually going to go, oh, brilliant. That is not a new version of the file. I don't have the latest version of the file. Give me the latest version. So your new people, new users and existing users will always have the same version of the JavaScript, unless you do some magic stuff for A/B testing, which is fantastic. If we have a look in the views, like I said, we've just been in the index one, so there isn't really much in there. So where's all this coming from? Everything that you saw in that demo I ran here, everything you see there, all of this is being passed up as part of the Angular 2 components, and they all live in client app. Okay. So we have a test directory for our tests. We're not going to add any this time around, but we might add some later. This is the dist files. These are the files we want to send out every time that we build. So every time we build something, we're going to change these files. Here is the app file. So these are the components. These are the files that get loaded when we load our app. So if I go to home index, we can see that we load dist main client. Dist main client is in here, which we haven't built yet, but that's fine. So what we need to do is let's have a look at browser. So base URL app module, brilliant. Okay, so our app is split up into components, and this is a standard Angular and I believe React way of doing it. So you take a bunch of stuff. So if I go to my demo again, I'm going to take this nav bar, that's a component. The counter view is a component. The home view is a component, and that way we can reuse them across the whole application. We don't have to have, it's similar to the MVC views, with the partials. You're going to build a partial that has a log out button, and then you're going to use that. That might be too granular, but you might have a button or a form, an input form that is the login input form. You might want to include that as a modal that slides in different places. Well, you would put that in an MVC partial. The same idea applies here. We're going to put our common HTML and JavaScript for the spa into an Angular component. Bear with me a second, I've just had a knock. Sorry about that, everyone. Just had a delivery of some stuff. So that's fantastic. Anyway, where was I? Ah, yes. So you're going to take all of your, whilst I'm describing this, well, you're going to take all of your common HTML and JavaScript and CSS and bundle those together. That way they're added as components, and that's where the Webpack magic comes in. You describe your entire application and you break it down and say, where are we? If I go module browser, no, that's not it. Server, yeah. So you're saying, so I'm saying in here, import this module from this file. And what happens is Webpack comes along, sees that directive. So let's say it's this one, app component. It goes, brilliant, I shall go to this file or this directory, which is what this is, app.component, finds all of the files that match that name and imports it into this file. That way, instead of having multiple thousands and thousands of files that you pull in as JavaScript, you have one file that comes with it. As an example, a really terrible example actually, let's go to, whoops, and.com. So this is my homepage that I use to direct people to different parts. This is my computer running really slow actually. Let's stop that from indexing. So this is my personal homepage that has, it's really old now and needs updating, but if I go to view page source, right, you can see here, where are we? I'm pulling in 1, 2, 3, I'm pulling in 3 CSSs, I'm pulling in some Google stuff there, just underneath it I'm pulling in a script there for Google Ads, which I'm not using. I'm also using 1, 2, 3 JavaScript files and some built-in JavaScript for Google Analytics. That's all that I've had to manually add those include references. Without those include references, the page just wouldn't run, which is no good. So that's what Webpack does. It builds one big JavaScript file that you can then ship with your working page, which is fantastic. So that's brilliant, and that's what we're doing here. We import all of these things, we set these things up, and then we export as a thing called app module. So we can include the app module anywhere that we need it, which is fantastic, right? So if we have a look at, I'm just going to expand this a little bit so we can see. So let's say app component.html, right? Container fluid, column 3, small, nav menu, column 9, body content, router outlet. I'm not going to go into the hows and whys of what Angular does, because I guess you can look these things up. But where I think it's useful, I will go into them. So really quickly, this is the code for the nav menu that we've built. We'll see that in a moment. That's actually a component. So if we go nav menu, we go nav menu component.ts, we can see that selector there, nav-menu, is being applied here. And what will happen is Angular will replace those angle brackets with whatever HTML it finds in here, which luckily is our navbar. So it's got links to our home, our counter, and the fetch data stuff. So when we come to add something new to here, we're going to add it there. So what we're going to do really quickly is, I figure we should have a look at the working version of the disorganizer and add one of these. So let's add the books one. Okay, so let's add a books component. So let's compress all of this. We're going to add a new folder, not a file, a directory even. Can I not do it until, oh, there we go. Add a new directory. Let's let that finish because it desperately wants to finish, so let's do that. So we're going to add a new directory, new directory, and we're going to call it books. There we go. So this is going to contain all of the files for our books component, which we will register in a moment. I'm going to base it on the, let's base it on the app component for now, I think. No, we'll base it on home component because that's easier. So what we need is HTML and CS and TS. So let's add some of those, if it'll let me do it. Add a new HTML file, book component.html. I don't think I need to type HTML, but I'm going to anyway. So that is our book component. Let's take this. That's the TS file, so that's not what we want. Let's take the contents of this, copy, and put that in here. So all paste, hello from books. Welcome to books component. There we go. So I'll just leave that unordered list there, and I will jump to the end of this line, and we'll go to that line there, get rid of that, and do this, into that line, do that. That way I can get rid of this content really quickly. This is where our books will be listed, hopefully in a table. Save. So that's still indexing, which is a real shame, because it wants to index all of these files, and you know what, that's just going to take forever. I wonder if I can cancel that. I've paused it anyway. So let's have a look at the default configuration. Can we run it? It's probably going to complain at me. So, build succeeded. Fantastic. Configuration debug any CPU. So can I run it? No, apparently not. Not built. Okay. So I need to figure this out first. So let's build that product. Why is it building it with mono? That's really interesting. Do you know what we'll do? We'll just build it here. .NET restore. Unable to find project to restore. Oh, interesting. Oh, it hasn't actually added it to my... That's really interesting. I wonder why that's happened. Let's do cat angular2.sln. Right, it has actually added that CS project, so let's do .NET restore angular2.cs project. It restored it, so let's do .NET run. No, we need to do ASP. We need to set the configuration. Let's ditch that. I don't know why that thinks it's running as... Oh well. Right, so we'll just use that as an editor. That's fine. So what we'll do is we need to set our path variable ASP.NET Core configuration to be debug. Now I've written about this, so let's go find out about that. Development is what I've called it before. So let's see where that comes up. It's going to come up everywhere. Development framework has been released. Why don't I so I don't want to affect my global path variable, so why don't I set ASP.NET Core, that's the one. So if I run this and then do .NET run, this should run my app in development mode. So temporarily, for the lifetime of the next run of the, so what this does is for the next run of the application, set the ASP.NET Core _ environment variable to development and then run. So let's see what happens. That's fine. Yep, so brilliant. You can see we're running as development. That's brilliant. That means because of everything we're about to do is JavaScript, that means we can leave this running. As you can see, we'll see all of our controller actions fire and things like that. So we'll leave that to do its thing. Aha! Brilliant. Vendor is not modified. Excellent. So what we need to do, the server module shared. Right. Here we go. So what we need to do is we need to create some TypeScript for this, and we'll do that in a moment. But what we need to also do is we need to import input. So we need to import, we need to spell it correctly. I can't spell. Maybe not. He can't really. books component, an int, there we go, from, no, not from dot, so we're in here, the dot / says go out one folder, which takes us to app. We're then going to say, whoops, components, so we're going to go into the components folder, and we're going to go to books, into the books directory, and we want to get books, book. Oh, you see, what I need to do is I need to rename this. I've called it books. Why can't I rename? Edit, reveal in Finder. Where's the rename? I can't rename. That's really annoying. F2? Oh, F2. Can I rename the folder? Oh, that's annoying. Oh, right, okay, so I've got to wait for it to finish updating the indexes. So what I need to do, book.component, and a semicolon, to do, JT, rename the book component to book cooks, books.component, component. There we go. That way I've got it to do. It reminds me to do the thing I need to do. But what we're doing is we're going to add this. Where are we? We're going to add the books component into the global context. Then we need to add it to our modules. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add it here. Book component. There we go. We're not going to send it out. Yeah, okay, we'll send it somewhere. So we'll create a new path for it. So what we've done here is we've added the component. We've declared it to Angular. And then we're going to create a path for it. So that if I go to /books, it's going to take me to the books file. So books, that's how the other ones work, you see. As you can see, component, books, component, right, okay. So this says, get me the books component from the book component file, which I've misspelt. That's now broken, I'll show you that in a moment. We're going to go to books component, we're going to add that into the module, we're going to declare that in our Angular module. We're then going to import a path, so root a module for root books into the book component. Now, this is going to have failed, this is going to have failed because we haven't created a TypeScript file for it. So we'll create that now. We'll need to create it as book.component because I've misspelt the previous one. So what we'll do is we'll create a TypeScript file. Will it let me do that? New TypeScript file, there we go. book.component.ts, go. Right, now we need to look at the other component, so we'll get rid of that one. We'll get rid of that one. We'll keep this open because we need that one. And we'll get rid of that one. So let's have a look at the home component and see how that works. It's going to be, so we need to import component from Angular so we can componentize stuff. We're going to have a selector for it and we're going to have some templates. Okay, that's cool. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to copy paste this and make some changes. So we still need to import the component. Our selector is going to be books, and we're going to go to book.component.html, and I'm going to call this books component. Whoops, books component. So what we did in here was we said we want to look for a class component called books component. See, you can see the page has started running again already. Find the books component, which is somewhere in our imports. We don't really care where, but we've added it here, books component. So we've said, find the TypeScript file in here and import it, import the books component, I've said component too many times, from those files, and then just sort of store it here. We've said then we want to declare it to be used in this module, and then we've said that when we go to /books, we want to go to the books component, right? So that's broken that. I'll come into why that's broken in a minute. Let's see what happens over here. Features character set, hello from books. Can you see that? Fantastic. Let's move this over here and this over here, down there actually. You should still be able to see that, right? And I want to be able to see this in the background when I go like this, right? Books. Yes, books from outer space. Watch what happens when I hit save. 3, 2, 1, and did you see that? So what happened was I hit save. Node will restart because of a file change. The node service is fired, which called Webpack, which built our things, which then sent a GET request to our old JavaScript, swapped its content out with all of this stuff, and then in here silently did a refresh. So if I do this, not a refresh, it did a redraw, because what happened was our content changed. If I do save again and I push nothing, I've got my hands up. See, I've now got that symbol there, which I did accidentally, but that's not a problem. So we've now got that. So I'm going to save that. It's going to do that. So we've now got our books component. We have no JavaScript, but we have our books component. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go code, and I'm going to be really cheeky, and I'm just going to steal the code from the pre-existing version. Because it's already written, it already works, I just needed to update it. So what I'll do is I will, nope, that didn't work. Excuse me, bit of a loud cough, that one. Let's have a look. So I want to open this one, then that one. Don't worry, I'm going to drag this over in a moment. The text stuff is going to be small, but that's fine. So this is version 1 of the app. Close. So in here, in app, in components, we've got a books, right? What I want to be able to do is just get this working. I do have some issues on GitHub already about how to get this to work properly, and things I want to, things I want to make, what I want to do to make this app better, but they can wait until I've done this. So as you can see, we need HTTP. I'll explain what these are for as I drag them in. So in the books component, compile TypeScript to JavaScript. Okay. There we go. Right. So paste that in. So I'm adding the HTTP component because what we're going to do is we're going to use this component to do a, almost like a, it's going to do HTTP GET. I was going to say a jQuery GET there, but we're not going to use jQuery. So what's happened in the background is, because I said to Writer to transpile JavaScript to TypeScript, TypeScript to JavaScript, it's gone and created these JavaScript files for us, which we don't need, but because we have Webpack is going to do that for us. If we go back into the Webpack config, some of the stuff I do understand about Webpack is, in fact, I wrote a blog post about this. Where are we? So can you see this line here? Let me just distract. So TypeScript is all about setting up rules for how to deal with stuff. So let's just go full screen with that. I don't know how much of the full screen you can see. So what happens is you give Webpack a bunch of files, and it needs rules on how to deal with those files. So we've set up a bunch of rules. The module here is rules. We've said test all of the files that come in, and the ones that match on .html will use HTML loader minimize false. If it's CSS, we will use these apps. So that's an array of apps. So we're doing toString loader. If we're dev build, then we'll use CSS loader. If we're not dev build, we'll use CSS loader with minimize. And then on any images, we'll use URL loader with a limit of 2,500. But the big one is TypeScript, including the client app folder. If we're in dev, use awesome TypeScript loader with silent equals true. Otherwise, use the Angular 2 template loader and send this, sorry, let me get this right. If it's dev build, sometimes I misread ternaries, use the awesome TypeScript loader and do it silently so we don't see any messages, and the Angular 2 template loader. Otherwise, if we're not in dev build, use the Angular Tools Webpack application. And that tells it, do all of this stuff for us. The awesome TypeScript loader actually transpiles to JavaScript and then allows us to send that to the Angular 2 template loader, which is pretty cool. What else have we got? I don't think there's anything else in here that's to do with TypeScript, so we'll come out of that. So we're going to say, give me HTTP. Resharper has already highlighted this saying we're not using this, so why are we using it? Well, we'll see in a moment. Right, whilst I'm here, I can do this to do now, because it's done all of what it needs to do. Let's contract that. Let's see if we can rename this now. Rename. Books component. Things are going to stop breaking. Things are going to stop working now. So that's fine. You see that? Because I've renamed the HTML. It is a change on disk. Webpack fired. Tried to... well, let's have a look. Webpack fired, and it tried to put everything together, but then it failed. So we can see here, node services, hash, version webpack. It failed on the main client, trying to do a hot update, main client JS map. And if you read all the way through here, you can see, you might not be able to see why. Let's have a look. There we go. Error in book component, cannot find book component, because we've just renamed it to books component. So what I need to do is I need to rename this. It will then break again. Where are we? Books component. So again, this is going to fire. Webpack has fired. It's going to try and rebuild everything. It's going to fail because books component.ts no longer exists. I'm going to put an S here. This will fix the TypeScript, but not the app module. That's in app module shared. So this no longer works because it's looking for book component. Remember? See, it's already highlighted for us. I can't find that. So we've already seen it fail again. So let's save that. And then it'll start working again. Just going to get rid of this to do because I've done it. Ta-da! Page works. How cool is that? Right. I'm going to refresh that page so we get the latest version. So we've got books component now. Oh no, it's broken again. Can't read books component HTML. Books component. Why not? Let's have a look, see what's going on here. Maybe I did a refresh too early. Let's do another refresh. Exception handler. This is good because then you can see why things are broken. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll stop the app. Did that stop it? No, it's that one that stops it. There we go. And we'll run it again. See what happens. Books component.html. Books component.html. Maybe because I'm not going to change anything until it starts running again. Because we need to get this running, is the short version. So let's get this running. I'll put that there. So we can see our model state's valid because we haven't passed a model in. No, it fell over again. Cannot read the URL of app component HTML. No resource loader implementation provided. Cannot read app component.html. Huh. I wonder if that's because I told Ryder to do TypeScript for me. Why did it bring my duck over? I shouldn't have brought my duck over. That's weird. Where's my dock over here? This should be my main screen. That's weird. Let me see if I can get my dock to show on the correct screen. Oh well, my dock's running. It's not a huge problem. I didn't actually see when that... I'm going to have a quick Google to see if I can tell Ryder to not do TypeScript. Because I've got a feeling that's what's caused the issue. How about if I close this, cancel out of that, run it again. That's really annoying that the dock is on the wrong screen. close Rider. It's probably because I made Rider full screen, isn't it? So that should be, try to restart now. Okay, so that's restarted. That's rebuilt everything for me. No, I think that's still going to fail. No resource loader implementation have been provided. Cannot read the URL applicable. Let's go back to the home page because maybe it's... No, the whole thing's broken. Oh dear. Wow. Angular client dist vendor line 62,734. I have a feeling it's because I told Rider to deal with my JavaScript. Yeah, my TypeScript. Let's clear that. Let's actually go out one. Go back into here. Do you know what? We haven't really done much, so let's just trash this and start again. Most of this has been me talking about it, so let's do .NET New, Angular, name Angular 2. Oh, I've put Angular space 2, but that's fine. rm-rf. Should have done a practice run, but this is cool. So we'll create a new one. It was right that I hadn't really done anything. I just talked you through how all. So let's just rebuild it. We may as well just rebuild it. It's really annoying that my dock is on the wrong screen. Right, so CD Angular 2. We don't need to do any npm installing. Let's just go into there and do that. Oh, right. That's really annoying. That literally just moved my... Cannot find module webpack bin. Okay, so let's do .NET restore. I don't know whether you saw that. The dock just moved just when I was about to change it. So that's useful. So we'll close that. We'll close that. And then we'll do npm install global again. Because I hadn't done anything big with the files, I hadn't actually made many changes. I'd created a JavaScript and a HTML. A TypeScript and a HTML file. I thought we'll just trash it and start again. There's not much that I've actually done, you know, so I don't lose anything. The only problem is I now lose time whilst it tries to pull the files down, and then when I open it with Rider, it's going to want to re-index, which is a bit of a shame, but that's fine. It's not a huge problem. I have the rest of my now gold coffee. Oh dear. What I'm going to do is I'm going to close that for now because that's a little annoying. But what we're eventually going to move towards is we're going to have the contents of this file. Now the Visual Studio Code is quite small, so let's make this bigger. Whilst we're installing stuff, I'll try and make the font size. Here we go. So if I do 16. Yes. Oh no, I have to. Obviously, I can't change that there. That's the default settings. So we need to do. Yeah, you see, it's doing it now. So we need to do editor.font size colon 12. It is 12. I'm going to do 16 even. I'm going to do save. And you see it has automatically changed that for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull in the HTTP module. I'm going to create a result JSON model. And we're going to create a book model. The result JSON model. Now where does that live? That lives in models. So I've got components and I've got models and I have interfaces because I like components, models and interfaces. In the result JSON one, it is literally, it maps to the result of this. So if I do, right, let me actually get by ID. So what's the ID of that first one? I don't know. Get by. What we'll do, I'll show you a single, now this, this is now shut down. It's on a free Azure instance, so it may have shut down then. So let's do books get by ordinal 2, right? We'll just take that out of there, copy that. So what we're going to do is we're going to do / books get by ordinal, and then you have to give it an ordinal number, right? So that should return the color of magic. No, it broke. This is not going well, is it? Let's do characters get by now. I just want to show the by name. So I just want to show, right, so this is the JSON result, right? So if I take this, whoops, I take this and I paste this into a new file. Oh, bother. That's annoying. All copy and paste. So this is a JSON result. So let's format it as such. See, it's already picking things up. Right, so as you can see, we have multiple things that we can select on. Yeah, I feel like that should be like that, and like that, and like that, and like that. But that needs to be over here, that needs to be over there, and that needs to be over there. So this is the JSON that's going to come back. It's not prettified, but this is what it's going to look like. I could have used programs like Postman to get this prettified, but I've done it myself because it's really quick. So the result JSON is always going to have a success true, and it's always going to have some kind of string in the result. I treat this as a string because we're going to get different data. So the character name, brilliant, we're going to get a list of books. If we do the books, we're going to get something slightly different. So if I do books, get by, let's try get by ordinal again. No. That might be, that I have to do an ID with it. Really, so let's just do book name. Get by name equals percentage 20 watch. That might not work. So night watch is 2 words. It's not working, is it? Oh well. Right. So yeah, when we get let's do a search. Search. It's not going well, is it? So we're going to search for any. Oh, I didn't do books. I don't even know how to use my own API. How good am I? Right. So if we do, so there's success true, then there's a result, which is an array of stuff. So we have to treat books differently to the way that we treat characters, right? So that's why, if I close this, because we no longer need it, in the result JSON, I'm saying that the result is a string, but the success is a Boolean. Okay? So that's my JSON model. I'm going to close this. So that's my result JSON. In the book component TS, we also have, so we've got book. So let's have a look at book, right? So what I do is I'm going to map the JSON string to a number of books. And we'll talk through that in a moment because this is now done. So let's do rider again. We'll get there. Right. So that's, yeah, that's fine. That doesn't work. That's fine. So let's see if we can get this running again. So let's do that. So we've restored .NET Core packages, we've restored JavaScript packages, we've restored Angular, all that kind of stuff. Node package manager. So there we go. This is definitely a pepcache issue. So pepcache is problem exists between chair and keyboard. So that's, don't worry about that. Excuse me. This won't happen to you because you won't do the stupid mistake that I did. You won't run the stupid mistake that I did, which was, see, my dock's moved again. Apparently if I do that, no. Oh, not that. There we go. Right. So, yeah, unless you do the stupid mistake that I did. Well, I suppose it was a stupid mistake. I just wasn't paying attention to what Ryder was saying to me. Ryder was saying, do you want me to transpile TypeScript? And I said yes. Whereas we actually had Webpack doing it for us. So I'm guessing what happened was Webpack and Ryder got on top of each other and it all fell over. So that's now working. So let's just drop out of this, do .NET new SLN Angular. Okay. Cancel. .NET new SLN name Angular. That's interesting. Angular 2. Right, so that's going to create our solution file. A new window. So that's created our Angular 2. So if I do .NET SLN, brilliant. So we can do .NET SLN add Angular2.csproj. Ace. So then I can bring up Ryder and go open Angular 2, please. This will do another set of indexes, but we're not going to use Ryder to actually build this. We're going to keep using the command line, which is, oh, whoops. Let's just clear this now. It's getting a bit full. So let's try this again. So we're going to run that. This is going to construct a lot of components. That's fine. It's going to take a moment to actually load stuff. We don't need to bother with this just yet, so I'm going to leave this up here whilst it does its thing. We've got this. This is going to rebuild and rerun. So one of the things that a lot of people have noticed when they do this is that, well, Node, NPM, Webpack, all of these things getting in the way before .NET Core starts, slow things down. But that's just the state of, that's just how it works these days. You can't really do much about that. That's just how that's just how modern. Get rid of that one. We don't want to index anything. That's just how modern JavaScript development stuff works. So we're just going to have to deal with it. So this is now running. So if I go like that. Oh, it's not running yet. Sorry. Now it's running. I did the get before the hosting environment actually started because I was a wally. But there you go. So this is still running our processes. It's going to restore all packages again, which is a bit annoying because it's going to affect my connection speed, and it's going to affect the upload speed for this. So that's a bit of a shame, but there you go. So we're now on to, where are we now? We're now an hour and a half in, and we've started to create something. Oh dear. And what I'm going to do when I upload this to YouTube, I'm not going to edit this. I'm not going to cut out the bits where I messed up. I'm not going to cut out the waffly, boring bits. I'm going to leave it all in. If you want to jump around in time, then you can. So what we're going to do is we create a books component. This time spell it correctly. Add a new directory, books. Just check that this process still isn't ready. See, it's indexing. I don't want that to index. There we go. So with the books there, we're going to add a new TypeScript file. We're going to call it books.component.ts. And we're going to base it on this one. So we need Angular core. I'm going to do that. I'm going to build this up slowly, step by step. I'm not going to just block copy it in. Build it up slowly, step by step. So we've got that. We've got that. There we go. And we're just going to do export class, book component. We don't need any of this yet. I'll talk through all of that in a moment. So that's going to ensure that our class exists. We need to, in our module shared, we're going to tell it to use that. So we're going to import books component. I'm going to put a space in there because I like spaces. From, not from out one folder, components, books.component. So this time we've created the component first, the TypeScript, the JavaScript file first, and we're going to add that books component. We're going to add that and use that and consume that here. We're going to say we're declaring this is going to be included, and then we're going to create a root. We're not going to create a root yet because if we try to go there, we're not going to get anything. So save that. You'll see that this happens in the background. You can see things happening in the background. We're rebuilding. It fell over and then it's going to rebuild again. It fell over again. I'm not sure why this time. Let's have a look. Books component error. Can't resolve books component.html. Okay, so let's. Oh yes, of course, because I haven't created the HTML. So this is the template HTML. So let's go add new file. New HTML. It's dragged my doc over again. There we go. I figured out what does it now. Books.component.html. Right, so now we have a books component HTML. That's going to rebuild. It's now going to work. It's just that the books root is going to contain nothing. We don't want that. We're going to go h1 hello from books, or hello apparently, because I can't spell. Books component controller. Save. It's rebuilding stuff. It's rebuilt. So let's go to books. Okay, let's go to books. So we're going to the books controller, the books page. We haven't, remember, we didn't add a root to it. So we've just seen, this is really cool. So we've said, when you don't supply a path, when you do this, go home, redirect to home, don't bother match, match the full path. When you type in home, go to the home component. When you go to counter, go to the counter component. So I can go, I can go counter, and we'll take us to the counter component because that's our root. And what we do here, redirect anything else to home. So I can go, it will take us to home. I'm going to add a 404 page at some point, I think. Oh, bother. I don't want to return there, do I? So path, we're going to say books. See, I hit save, so it's starting to fall over. So let's do that. I need a space. Component, books, component, space, save. And then that will work again. So what's happening here is I'm saying from the root, when we do books, go to the books component and figure out what to do. The books component over here says the selector for this is books. We don't really need the selector, but that's fine. The template URL, the URL to the In MVC, we call them views. In Angular, they're called templates. That's what it is. So we're going to say, go get me this view. So if I go like this, if I go books there, we should then get hello from books. Haha! Right. If I do that, I've not touched the page, I just clicked into it to make it the active window. Are you still watching? Fantastic. So let's have a look at what we were doing before. So what we need to do is we need to make the result JSON. So we need to create a result JSON object. All copy. So we need to go app. We need to go cancel. I don't want to move the folder. Add a new directory. Models. Add a new TypeScript file. We're going to call this result.json.ts. I'm going to paste that there. So this is so that instead of having to, I can now strictly type stuff. That's the whole point of TypeScript, is I can strictly type all of my things. I can say this result should be a type of, which is brilliant because JavaScript doesn't do that, which is a bit of a shame, but there you go. And let's take this. So again, I'll show you where this model came from in a moment. So if I do new for file, what did we call it? Book.ts. So this is standard TypeScript stuff. I don't know whether you've ever used TypeScript before, but this is, so we're using the export keyword to make this class available. We haven't created the iBook interface yet, but that's fine. I'm not expecting it to fall over because we haven't said to include this yet. So we've said it implements iBook, so we may as well go create the interface for it as well. I wonder if we have an iResult.json. We do. Maybe that should be, let's have a look. Now, I don't think I need the interface for the iResult.json, but let's just add it anyway. Actually, yeah, we do need it. So interfaces. So I'm building this up in a very object-orientated way. There's a lot going on here. So if I do iResult.ts, anyone who's done enough TypeScript will know that this is how you do stuff, certain things. So I am going to say, so you might be asking, if you're even paying attention still, why have I created a result JSON which just has these two components? Implements iResult JSON. If why have I created the interface if I've created a type for it as well? And you know what? Just because I like to have interfaces every now and again, it can be really, really helpful because you can say, like with when we do gets in a moment, we can say, hey, this get needs to return a type of, and we give it the interface, not the definite class, and then so it works in the same way that an interface in say C# works. Anything that implements the interface is guaranteed to have these properties, but it may have more. We will be saying to the to Angular's get method in TypeScript, we will be saying to TypeScript what we expect back from the get method is something that has these properties. It might have more properties, but we don't care. Book.ts. That was a long way of describing how TypeScript works, but there you go. So let's do that. That will now be nice and happy. So let that do its indexing for now. So that's cool. So we now have the book and the iBook. We're not going to bother with the other components just yet because I'll build those as separate things, right? So what we need to do is we want to be able to issue HTTP requests. To be able to do that, we need the HTTP module. So we need to add the Angular HTTP module here. That's what this is. So we're saying with this first one, component, we're saying that it's almost like this is like a hash include. If you've done C++ or C, this is a using. Similar to, okay, so in C# you can do, I wouldn't recommend it, but you can do Okay, yeah. You can do using system, whoops, .console as my console. You can do that. It's not recommended, but you can do that. So you can say, I want to use this thing as, and give it an alias, but it's not recommended. So that's what we're doing here. We're saying we're going to import this particular module. They're actually modules. So we're going to implement this module from this file. So go into the Angular core files, find me the common.js module, go into those in a minute, common.js module from Angular core, and then the same thing here in the Angular HTTP stuff, get me the HTTP. Now this means, oh no, that's a shame. Does it work here? Oh, constructor. It does mean, so TypeScript is very TypeScript is type safe, right? But if we want to be able to use HTTP, we need to dependency inject it, and well, TypeScript Angular allows us to do that. So we're going to pass in the HTTP object. We're going to say private HTTP. Is that what we're going to do? Is we're going to put that there? Yeah. Private HTTP this.http equals HTTP. Now, with TypeScript, the types and variable names are reversed. So in C#, you would do public foo int bar, right? In TypeScript, it's the other way around. You say the variable name and then the type that it is, with a colon in between them. So if this was TypeScript, this is going to underline it as red, but you would do that. That's how you declare stuff in TypeScript. So over here in my books component.ts, we've said we want to pass something into the constructor called HTTP. Nope. Called HTTP, but it's going to be of type HTTP, and it knows what HTTP is because it's up there. So pass me in something called HTTP of type HTTP from this module. Got that wrong way around, haven't I? Yeah. See, didn't even take my own. The same with declarations. HTTP safe. So I've said, create me a thing called HTTP of type HTTP. It's really difficult to understand that, but there you go. So we now have that working, so that's fantastic. What we're going to do is we are going to have, we need these four at the very least. Yeah, we'll have all five actually. Right. So we're going to have these. These are our variables. They don't need to be observable or anything, so we're just going to create them. And then we're going to instantiate them with some stuff. All right. Copy that. Paste that in there. Do we not have iBook? We've not added these two. There we go. So we've already got errors. So we fell over because we couldn't find Webpack couldn't find iBook. iBook exists in book. So there we go. So this time it should start working. Cannot find name iBook. Oh, okay. So what we'll do is we'll also import, we'll import iBook from interfaces yeah. Yes, it isn't a module. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll create it as a strongly typed book type. So book, books. So it can't find iResult.json, which is what this extends from. So let's not do that for now. And then this one, oh no, this one. That's fine, don't need those two just yet. So that should now build. Null is not assignable to, okay, new array. See, so this code works because this is TypeScript 1. This code doesn't because this is TypeScript 2. There's a lot of things that had changed between TypeScript 1 and TypeScript 2. So if I have saved this correctly, this should now build again. So again, this is TypeScript 1, that's TypeScript 2. There are a few things that changed between making TypeScript 1 and TypeScript 2. So that's cool. So then I create, so we can see in here, so I've already set up DW check API to allow calls so we can search it from this app or from any other website. Which is brilliant. So that's why we have this base string here. We also have a search string, which what we do is we populate that from a text box. We're going to populate that from a text box. We're going to combine those using JavaScript, using backticks to build a JavaScript, a string using backticks and the $sign. And we'll do that in a moment. First we want to declare, so these are still our declarations, right? So let's put a little comment here. Whoops. Declarations. So the way that TypeScript, you can think of TypeScript as being part interface, part class. So what we do is, for those who haven't done TypeScript before, when we instantiate this, what's going to happen is we come in, we're not going to call a constructor yet. We call all of the things underneath it that are not, that are declarations. So we'll get as far as DWBook, then we'll come into the constructor and then we'll fill them in. Okay? If we create this private register functions, I'm not expecting this to copy paste over nicely because TypeScript 2 changed a lot of stuff. So I'll save that. That's then going to start breaking because it doesn't know what iBook is and all that kind of stuff. So let's see what happens. For each element, that's fine. So what's this complaining about? Array instantiation can be more simplified. Okay, let's simplify it. Also want to produce primitive types. Okay, right. So element can be of any type. So let's work our way through this and figure out what the issue is. I always like, so this is going to be, element is going to be of type book, which means it doesn't like all of these. Why not? Cannot find element. Did you mean element? No. Okay. Oh, there we go. So let's rename this to server book. That way we've at least then got something that instead of element it has a better name. Fine, I'll do it manually then. Don't know what's going on with this. Right, let's see what's wrong with this then. Turn the result into JSON, get the result from it, and then for each through it. So let's see what the options for each are. It's been a while since I did JavaScript for each. I usually use a... Oh, of course, it's index. Is it index first? Let's have a look. recommend this as well. The Mozilla Developer Network, MDN. There we go. So let's have a look. So we have an array. We've got an array out. For each function element. Yeah, current value index array. So that should work. So it's the element. So we're saying, do you know what? I might just for it. Converting for to for each function item. Oh, that's why it doesn't work. It needs to be a function. So for each function goes to, that's why it doesn't work. Yeah, I like to do it like that. So if I go server book of type book, there was probably someone, if there was anyone watching, probably someone watching going, "You idiot, this is how you do it, you're being a wally." And you know what, you're right, I was being a wally. Let's just format that nicely. No, you're not going to format nicely. Okay. Let's format it nicely like that. Okay. Let's get rid of that. Yes, I would definitely recommend MDN. It's the Mozilla Developer Network. Now, obviously, Mozilla, the makers of Firefox, know what they're talking about. Right? They know what they're talking about. Books component.ts cannot resolve result.json. Where is it using result.json? Cannot find name. So it's line 37. Oh, there we go. So result.json. Ha! Right, so that's kind of working now, in that we can now browse to the page. Whoops. Ace. So what we need to do now is we need to build up the HTML and a button to click to do this. Right? So what we're going to do is we're just going to steal it from here, and then I'll talk you through it, because there's a lot going on in this, and it might be that this has changed. Save. I wonder what will happen with this page now that we've changed the whole of the HTML. Oh, look at that, it just works. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to type into here, rinsewind. When I hit the search button, what's going to happen is, see, this is a lot of Angular stuff here. Well, a lot of this can be changed, presumably, right? So what we do is we've got this input here. This is our input, our search string. So, right, this input box, the value of it is mapped to search string. If we have a look in here, we have a variable called search string. Every time, if we look at this, so input search string equals event.target.value. Okay, so the search string is set to the event's target value every time that we type a character. So when I type rinsewind A, instantly that value is then mapped to our TypeScript variable called search string. We have a character there. Let's just get rid of this. That is instantly mapped. So this is instantly mapped to rinsewind. If I change that to Vimes, as soon as I stop typing, not as soon as, there's a small delay, Angular will map the value of my, if I do inspect and bring up the console, Angular will map the value of, you can see all these wonderful things, will map the value of my text box to the search string value. When I push enter, when I have a key up event on the word on the character enter, the return key, it will call getDWBook, or I can map the getDWBook function to the click event of the button called search next to it. So when I click the button next to it, it will call this.getDWBook. Okay, which will actually, it builds our string, which is DW check API is your website's net books search string equals, then whatever we've typed in, it will set loading to true. It will do a HTTP get. This is so HTTP is the Angular library for doing HTTP stuff. We do a get on the root. We subscribe to the result. When the result comes in, which really we should strongly type, but that will do for now. Okay, we fire this method. Okay. Result JSON we get from doing the result.json and boxing it to a type of result JSON. If you remember, that's our, where is go to declaration. That's our success boolean and a result string. That's why we're strongly typing it, so that we can get dot access to stuff. So if we succeeded, we reset this books to a new array of iBooks. So I could do that. Whoops, I've got an N there. So reset books to an empty array. Yeah, I can do that. So let's save that. So reset books. So we'll see that in a minute, because we've got almost like observable type stuff for those. For anyone who's done Knockout, we were kind of doing observable stuff. Okay. So we've got var result JSON. If we've succeeded, empty the book out, and then in the result.result. So I could do that. Oh no, we can't. For each does not exist on string. Result JSON.result. Yes. So we don't want to do it as a string. We don't want to operate on it as a string. So in here, we've had to say that the result JSON is always going to be a string. So we're kind of futzing our way around TypeScript by saying, get me the JSON of it, get me the result key, and then for each through that result key, which is a string, but we're going to say it's going to be an array of stuff. So then we're saying in here, this is a method. Those of you who've used the this syntax will know what I'm talking about, but this is the equivalent of doing, where are we? Oh, bother. This is the equivalent of going function server book. It's the same thing, except this has got comments around it, but it's the same sort of thing. It will actually map to that in JavaScript because of the way that I've got the web pack set up. It'll do it down to ES6. So then we've got this .books. Remember, this is our array. Push a new book using the data that we've got from the server. Really, I don't really need to push a new book. I could just push that in because we've mapped it to a book. So I can actually just do push book. No. Server book, because we've already boxed it. And get rid of that bracket. So we've already boxed it. So why not just push it in? Unnecessary semicolon. That was a necessary semicolon. So that makes it a little bit more obvious. The reason I had the other way around is because then I can put a breakpoint in. So if I leave it like this, oh dear, when I go all the way back, if I leave it like that, I can put a breakpoint in and see what those are. So I may as well just do that. And if I'm doing a for each, I can just do a map, but we won't bother with, and it needs to be server book, not book. But we'll leave that like that for now. So for every server book that comes back from the server, shove it into our array. Set the success value to whatever our success was. Remember, we have this success boolean, which we initially set to true. Really, we should do that outside of here, outside of this if, which we are doing. Set loading to false and then drop out. So if I do this, I'm expecting to get a bunch of books appear. No, what happened? Let's have a look. That get DW book is not get DW book is not a function. Oh, interesting. Maybe I've done this wrong then. Let's have a look. Let's paste this in here. Paste. Yeah, you see, it's there. Maybe I should have this outside of a register functions. Let's get rid of that. Yes. So get rid of that. Get rid of this. Get rid of this because we don't need it. Tidy that up. It's not tidying up. That's a real shame. Bring that out there. Bring that out there. So this time, instead of, yes. I know what happened, right? I know exactly what happened. It was meant to do that, because I was supposed to show you what happens. Right, okay. So we create an instance of book component, let's just say that. Create an instance of books component. It doesn't call the constructor first, which is what C# stuff does, kind of. What it does is it calls all of these declarations first, then calls the constructor. So I've wrapped getDWBook inside of this register functions. So I need to, once I've done that, call this register functions. Otherwise, DWBook is an empty function and has nothing in it. So I need to save that. That will then cause this to refresh. I can then go rinse. Oh, bother! I'm typing into the JavaScript stuff there. Rinse, rind. Then I can push return. It switches to searching, please wait, which is what I want it to do. Network. What are we doing? It's done that. Oh, did you see that? Did you see that? Let's go back up. Right. So what happened here? Let's clear that again. Right. When I do this search here, I'll set this to slow so you can see what's going on. That's a really useful feature, by the way, if you're ever debugging in Chrome. We're going to search. We do a search string rinsewind. We get the details back, and then it starts filtering in some stuff. This was all cached, so it's still going to display it. Right? If we do that, and let's pull this out actually. Let's not dock it. Let's put it in a separate window. Let's pull it out of here. Right. So, this is the developer tools. This is really useful. Really useful. Right. So let's just filter that. Let's just refresh this page so you can see that nothing actually happens on the server. All right. So we do this. We get the books file. We get the HTML. We get the JavaScript. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let that finish. I'm going to clear that. Remember, we're still in slow mode. I'm going to go rinsewind again. Rinsewind. I'm going to go search. It's doing the search. It's doing this, right? We're doing result. Remember, I said that this is the format that it was going to come in. Oh, look. Oh, look. My brother's home. My brother just signed in and said, hey, in the chat. So, hello. Right. So, we've got some data back from the server. We can see that success came in as true, and we can read that as a Boolean. And we've got these 4 book objects. These are the things within it, and we've got that data. They're really useful. So let's go online, right? So as you saw, those 4 filtered in. So that's brilliant. So we've got that. So we'll have a look through this code here, so we can see what is actually going on. So div class loader, right? So this is really cool. This is an Angular directive. So if loading, so if we look in here, we've got a Boolean called loading false. It's loading and it's set to false instantly. As soon as the page loads, it is false, right? It's set to false there. We set it to true when we're about to do a get. And then when we get a successful result from it, we set it to false. Really? We should do, can we do always? Probably. Oh no, that isn't always. So when we do the get, we subscribe to the result coming in. When the result comes in, if the result is a thing, we do this. We then set loading to false. So what happens is we flip the bit, that becomes true. We display this. If we are not loading and it was successful and we have books, so this is loading, false, successful comes from the server, books is our local variable. If those 3 things, so and books here means do we have any in them? We can move this out to a method if we wanted. Then we display the table. Okay, this is a handlebar syntax. So we're saying image source, handlebar syntax, Angular stuff. So this is get me the variable here, the book cover image URL. So if I go to book here and I go to declaration, there is a cover image URL field that we pull from the server, which we can see if I do a search. And you'll see that they start to pull in, they come in, they are lazy loaded in. So if I go to inspect, you can see that it has a URL. So that image source, that's the source of the image URL, right? Excellent. And then we have the name, the ISBN, and the description all done in the same way. So if we couldn't load and it was not a success, no results found, no results found. That is literally it. Yeah? So that's cool. We've now got our component there. But how do we add it to the nav menu? Easy. Let's go over here. So we're going to add it to the nav menu. Oh, also, hello. That's my brother. He's on his way home from work. He was working today, so that's cool. So if we go to the nav menu component HTML. Oh my goodness, there's all sorts of stuff. So first thing we need to do is we don't need to add anything because we've got styles and we've got HTML, all that kind of stuff. So what we want to do is I am actually going to get rid of all of these because I don't want home. I want home, but I don't want the others. So let's create a li and we'll go router link active. Let's just copy paste that. Actually, it'd be easier if I just copy paste that. So this is some cool Angular stuff. This says if in the router, in the Angular router, this link is active, then we want it to be. So if I go like that, we've got this cool thing on it. If I go books, whoops, I want to go to books. If I go to books, it will load the book page. It's not active, so it's not going to show. That's cool. So let's go a router link, whoops, equals, and then we need to go, and then we give it, oh bother, then we give it a URL that we've mapped. So we go books, close that, close that. That says that I'll just put books here so then I can save it. So this says this anchor tag, this a tag, give it the URL of whatever path we've given. So this books here is the path to that controller. So if I go back home, you can see home books there. You can see I can't point to it. I'm going to have to point to it with my finger, which you can't see. But in the bottom left hand corner of that Chrome window, you can see localhost :5000/books. I click that, it sets the address that. If we inspect that, you can see it's ng reflect router link books href books. So it's set the link for us. So that's pretty useful. And we've put the text there. I want to make it look fancy. So let's do a span. Whoops, class. Yeah, shall we use Glyphicon? Let's use Glyphicon. Yeah. Glyphicon. So we're going to say it is a Glyphicon, but we're going to use a specific one because I've already picked one out. Glyphicon book. Copy. Paste. Save. What's wrong with this? It thinks that it isn't closed. Oh, it is indeed not closed. There we go. Save that again. That page will then appear. I'm not even going to mouse over it this time. Might minimize that one. Oh no, I moused over it. And if I refresh that page, sometimes this happens, you have to refresh. We have the book icon. Haha! Ace! Right. The last thing I need to do is in my nav menu. Is it in the nav menu? Home, Angular 2, yes. I need to call this, what did I call it before? Let's have a look. So over here, too many windows. I called it DW check UI. I might rename that to Discworld Disorganizer, but there you go. And then eventually, did you see that? It just flicked over. Fantastic. So now this has gotten started. So what I can do is I can check this in as part of my .NET Core 2 build. I can do it as a pull request and I can get an extra thing on Hacktober. Pro tip, Hacktoberfest. Oh, look at that. Hacktoberfest is a thing that DigitalOcean and GitHub are doing together, where They want people to contribute towards open source stuff. If you issue 4 pull requests and they are accepted within October, you get a free t-shirt. I'm just going to leave that there. How cool is that? Free t-shirt. Right. So as you can see, I've already done a bunch of pull requests. And yes, a bunch of them have been towards my own stuff, but that's fine. So what I would do is, pro tip, go have a look at Hacktoberfest. And maybe join in if you're a developer and you have a GitHub, or if you're looking to get into open source stuff, go join the Hacktoberfest. Earn a limited edition t-shirt. It's pretty cool. It's the first year I've done this. I've not done this. I didn't do it last year. But I have done it this year. I'm not doing it this year. I have done it. And they even list a bunch of stuff that you can join in on. Some of them, they're looking for open pull requests. If you look at my GitHub, where are we? GitHub. And you look at my issues. I have issues. No, I've actually put a few on with the tag Hacktoberfest. So I'm actually, as of the time this goes out onto YouTube, I will have already filled one of these at the very least. But yes, so that was how to go from nothing to an Angular 2 application with .NET Core. And we're also talking to an external API. So that's pretty cool. I think that's all I'm going to do for now, because I need to tidy this up a little bit. Once I've got this up, I'm going to put up a post over on... So once this has gone up to... once I've finished doing this, again, if you go to .NETcore.grogman.com, and when it loads, it's taking a while because I'm actually uploading at the same time. Go to Twitch videos, and there will be another one in here, and it will display. It will talk about. There will be a little post about what I've done with this video, all the things I said I was going to mention in the show notes. So a link to Segata Sanshiro, who he is, what he is. Yeah, that's right. A link to a couple of the blog posts I've written that are related to this video, a link to the JavaScript services GitHub repo, a link to this code so you can pull it down and play with it if you really want to. Pull it down and play with it. Sounds a bit wrong. It's only a little bit wrong. I'm trying to be professional. Anyway, so yeah, there'll be links to the code that I've written. There'll be links to JavaScript services. There'll be links to the posts that I've written all about JavaScript services, the post I've written about DW Check API, the DW Check API repo, the live app, all that kind of stuff. And I'll write a little page all about this, about the tools that you need, link to the stream, the same thing that I've done here, basically, with links to resources and stuff. And hints like... the hints so that you don't fall into the same trap that I did earlier on in this video about an hour in, when I told Rider to transpile my JavaScript into to transpile my TypeScript into JavaScript for me. So I'll put that in there as well, because otherwise I'll forget and I'll do that myself. So yes, so that was, so far, that was a 2-hour and 12-minute video. That's not bad. I'm looking forward to actually watching this one. But I watched the previous one back, and I'm going to watch this one back, and I'm going to check for things. I'm going to implement Kaizen. No, I won't do Google Images. So if I just actually search for Kaizen, I'm going to implement Kaizen with these videos. I'm going to continually try to get better at it by changing one little thing each time. So for this video, I've moved the microphone. For the next video, I might change to so this keyboard I use here, it's a Moto Speed CX something or other. I've got the box down there, I can't be bothered to look. It's pretty cool because it lights up, but it is Cherry MX Blue switches. So as you can hear, if I click over, it doesn't matter, I'll just bring up a scratch pad. If I bring up a scratch pad to type into, I do this constantly. So I've got an empty file here, and I bring the keyboard close to the microphone, it's quite loud, as you can hear. Yeah. One of the cool things it does is, like I say, it lights up. So that's pretty cool. But like I say, it's Cherry MX Blues, so they're quite loud. I think it was that one. No. There's a way to change. Oh. So it even has, this is really cool. So as I'm typing, it can light up and sort of do this. I have no idea whether I'm holding that up high enough, but there you go. I don't usually have it on that. I did buy it for that feature, but I don't usually have it set up like that these days. Oh, and you can have it so that it's like rotating. But that's pretty cool. I might leave a link to the description of this keyboard in the description as well. But there you go. And then I need to change the colour back to blue. There we go. So yeah, so I'm going to leave it at that, and I'll make some changes to this code and then I'll upload it. I'll also upload this video to YouTube for those who have access to YouTube or something like that. So yeah, so I'll catch you in the next video, I suppose. Thanks for watching, those who did. Thanks for catching up, those who watched it on YouTube. And what I might do is I might try and inject some humour into the next one. And make it a bit silly, a bit funny. I don't know. Let me know what you think of this headband. I did get a lot of comments in the previous video about my blue bandana. This one's a little bit green, as you can see. It comes out grey on the video, but maybe it is grey, I don't know. You tell me what colour it is. Let me know in any comments that appear on the YouTube videos just down here. Maybe leave a comment on the website for the Twitch video file. Let me know what you would like to see me do. This has been bouncing around for a while, so I've needed to upgrade this to .NET Core 2, so that's why I've upgraded it to .NET Core 2. I'm going through all of my open source apps that I care about. By that I mean there's some repos on my GitHub profile that I don't really care about. They were there for a specific reason. They filled, so I have the blog post code repo. So if you go over here and you go to my GitHub, this is github/kaprugman, and you go to repos, buried in here somewhere is a blog post examples. I think it is blog post examples. Where are we? Blog tutorials, there we go. So these ones are very specifically set up as specific, like this is the user secrets one. This was 3 months ago, so this is .NET Core 2, but it didn't need to have its own repo. Maybe it should have had its own repo. There are a few others where they're where are we? So there's a few that are .NET Core projects. This was before I even started working with .NET Core, a year ago, right? Before I even had .NET Core properly installed. This was me playing with .NET Core to see what I could do. I started building a Gulp.js app. That's my Webpack TS. That's where I wrote a blog post about how to include Webpack into a .NET Core application that didn't have Webpack. So this is now practically rendered useless other than as a learning exercise. So there's a few of these that aren't going to be updated, but I am going to go through a lot of these applications. Well, that's already .NET Core 2, but DDB Check UI is already .NET Core 2. Oh no, that will be, sorry. OWASP Core is already, so I'm going to go through these and upgrade them to .NET Core 2. If you'd like, I will produce videos of me upgrading them and I'll waffle less and I'll just get on with the code. Or maybe I should waffle more. Maybe should I have slides? Should I have notes that I can look at and show you as I'm doing it? I don't know. Let me know and I'll try and make this a little bit better. I'm not doing this for any kind of monetary value yet, but I am doing it to sort of show off things that you can do with .NET Core. So if there's anything that I can do to make it better and easier for you to follow, let me know. Like I say, I'm already going to write a small a page about this. Yeah, they're kind of pages. I'm going to write a page about this this particular stream. I'm going to talk about the things I did, how I did it, what I would have done better if I'd have paid attention. Things like don't tell Rider to transpile TypeScript into JavaScript because we don't need it, because Webpack's going to do it for us. And yeah, so I'll put all that together and I'll tweet that out the same way that I tweeted out a link to this, and I'll let some other folks know as well. But yeah, let me know. Let me know so I can make this better. But that's all I'll say for now. So thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for catching up on demand with YouTube or Twitch or whatever, if you caught up with YouTube or Twitch. Also, let me know how you caught up. That would be pretty cool. So I know whether it's... I might try streaming live with YouTube next. I'm currently using Twitch because it's easy to set up with... I'm currently using OBS, as you would have seen when my dock started bouncing around. I'm using OBS, but maybe I should use YouTube Live. Let me know and I'll give it a try. Let me know as well whether I should set up a more strict schedule, and maybe I'll try and do that, so that I'm doing once a month or something, and then I'll try and keep a Saturday afternoon clear or a Sunday afternoon clear, and see whether people can join in and we'll do something together. Maybe we could have like a collaborative thing. People, sign into the chat and say, hey, quickly build me an app that does this, and we'll all work together. And I don't know. Let me know. Till then, thanks for watching. I was going to do a really, really cool keyboard shortcut to do this, but there you go. But anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think, and like, subscribe if you want. You don't have to. I really should be telling you to do that, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, bye.